Dear 5th semester English optional students, today I continue with the teaching of the features of the Middle English period. The Middle English period extends from 1180 to 1580. I have already explained about the features of Old English period. The Old English period starts from 450 AD to 1100 AD. Now, let us look at the features of the Middle English period. So, at this particular time, about 10,000 French words had been taken over by the English during the Middle English period. There are many words which have been included in the English dictionary. The words pertaining to government, court, the church, army, education, and many words relating to food, fashion were introduced as well. In some fields, an original English terminology didn't exist. So, to that extent, the French language had its influence on English. Therefore, many French terms were borrowed to English. So, example here is names of the animals and their meat. Whereas names of the animals remained the same as far as the Middle English period is concerned. Their meat was renamed according to normal custom. This correlated to sociological structures. The farmers that raised the animals were predominantly English natives and could afford to keep using their own vocabulary while farming. So that's why here, how we can have the English names, animals names, and how their meat is of the other French influence. So here is an animal. Take for example sheep. So its flesh is said to be mutton. That is meat. That is mutton. And cow. Take for example the animal cow. Its meat is called beef. And swine. Its meat is pork. So this is how we have had the system. I mean, how many words they have entered into the English dictionary during the Middle Ages. And then the English language also has doublets. These are pairs of words that have the same etymology. Pairs of words that have the same etymology. That the name shows but that differ in meaning because they had been introduced into English, the language, English language, by two separate languages, the Latin and the French influence. For instance, made for many of such word pairs. Latin vocabulary adopted by the Celts directly became a part of English. The same vocabulary was sometimes introduced to English via Norman French. So how we can have the words, they are said to be in pairs, they are doublets. Here, doublets. Urban, it is an adjective, urban. The meaning of this urban is area, URBN. Urban means area, having quality of a large settlement, having a certain sense of culture, that is urban. And noun, that is, urban means it's a area, large settlement, and urbane means a person's having a certain sense of culture. Urbane, see the difference. Urban and urbane. Urban means certain people who have resided, and that is the area. But urbane means the people who have adopted a kind of culture, that is urbane. And another pair here, it is here. Noun, female gesture of respect. I mean, noun, it is noun, courtesy, noun. It's a female gesture of respect. And courtesy, courtesy, courtesy means it is a bending the knees. It is, I mean, showing politeness. So this is how we have the meaning of these pairs or doublets. And another feature as far as grammar is concerned, reduce of inflections began. So actually the Old English period with full of inflections we have in the Old English period. But the full of inflections that has started reducing to its minimum. So that's why in the Middle English, English is said to be the level inflections. The grammatical gender disappeared here and inflections merged. As the inflections of the Old English disappeared, the word order of Middle English became increasingly fixed. Inflections disappear and order of the word is increasingly fixed. This change made for a great loss of strong verbs. At a time when English was the language mainly of the lower classes and largely removed from educational or literary domains and influence, it was natural that many speakers applied the pattern of inflecting weak verbs to verbs which were historically strong. The linguistic principles of adapting the pattern of a less common form to a familiar one is called analogy. And the exclusive use of pattern SVO, subject to verb object, it emerged in the 12th century. And new topics like love, new genres like romance and lyric poetry, and new verse forms appeared in literary works in English, besides a loosened up version of Old English kind of alliterative line appearing in poems and what is called the alliterative revival. So here William Langland was the very important writer of the 14th century who wrote Pious of Plowman, and John Gower, very important, another important poet, and who wrote Confessio Amantis, and later Geoffrey Chaucer is a great poet of England, first national poet of England, and he is called the father of English poetry. So these are how some of the features we have studied in the Mid English period.